Angela adjusted her blazer, smoothing the fabric across her lap as the team gathered in the conference room. Her heart thudded beneath her calm exterior. She had memorized the signs, the delayed meeting invite, the whispered glances, the manager's stiff smile. Still, she dared to hope. 5 years, 3 near misses, countless weekends sacrificed, and now, finally, the regional marketing lead position was being announced. Her name had to be on it. Her manager, Stuart, stood at the front of the room, hands clasped. "I'm thrilled to announce that our new regional marketing lead is Colin Foster." Angela's breath caught. A second too long. The room broke into polite applause. Colin, eager, newly hired, Ivy League, stood up, flustered and grinning. "Wow, thank you. This is unexpected." Angela blinked. It shouldn't have been. She had trained Colin, literally, walked him through the software, edited his first pitch deck, introduced him to clients. She had been his mentor, his safety net. Now he had the title. Stuart's voice floated through her fog. "Angela, would you mind working closely with Colin this quarter to help transition a role?" There was the casual cruelty, the assumption that she would help, that she should. She nodded, because what else could she do? "Of course," she said, forcing a smile. "Happy to support." Inside, something cracked. That night, at home, Angela opened her laptop, created a new document, file name. They always smile when they cut docs. She began to write. "Today, I trained the man who got the job I've been doing for years. He called me a genius last week. Funny how genius doesn't get promoted when it's in brown skin." She paused, then wrote the next line. "I'm done pretending this doesn't hurt." Angela sat at her desk the next morning, her fingers poised above her keyboard, pretending to focus on a marketing report while her inbox filled with messages. Most were from Colin. Subject: "Help me understand Q3 targets." Subject: "Hey, can you resend the client pitch files?" Subject: "You mind hopping on a quick call?" He always asked like they were friends. Like this wasn't her third heartbreak in 5 years. Like she hadn't been in this same cubicle when he was still interviewing. Angela opened a clean document and began logging the emails, timestamps, tone, requests. Not out of pettiness, out of protection. She had learned the hard way that paper trails weren't for justice. They were for survival. She glanced across the open office space. Colin was laughing with Stuart, holding court near the espresso machine. He had been here 4 months. Angela had been here 9 years. Later that afternoon, Stuart stopped by her desk. "Hey, can you send Colin that internal audit you put together last year? He's looking into restructuring some workflows." Angela gave the same polished smile she'd worn since grad school interviews. "Sure, I'll find it." As he walked off, she clicked into her journal again. "I'm no longer surprised. I'm only exhausted. They say they didn't see me when I was overperforming, but they sure do see me when there's work to be done." Her eyes scanned her previous entries. Stories of microaggressions. Being called articulate as a compliment. Having her tone labeled aggressive when she challenged an idea. Watching a white colleague get praised for repeating what she had just said minutes earlier. But something had shifted now. Her entries weren't just therapy. They were evidence. Angela minimized the window as Colin popped his head over the cubicle wall. "Hey, sorry to bug again. Could you hop on a quick call with me and Stuart? We're meeting with the Chicago partners, and I think your voice would give us credibility." "Give us credibility." She smiled, nodded, then locked her screen. "Let me grab my notebook." But inside, her voice whispered, "One day, they'll need more than my credibility. They'll need my truth." Angela joined the Zoom call early as always. She adjusted her lighting, tested her mic, and reviewed the Chicago partner profiles one last time. This partnership was big, potentially multi-million-dollar big. And like always, she had done most of the prep work. Colin joined 3 minutes late, hair damp, sipping from a branded mug. "Hey, Angela." "Just woke up from a power nap," he grinned. She smiled politely. "We're meeting with senior partners, Colin." "Right? No worries. You'll help me carry this, like always." He laughed. She didn't. Stuart joined moments later. "All right, team. Let's wow them." Angela muted her mic, exhaled deeply, and pasted her most professional face on. The meeting was textbook. Angela carried the strategy points, answered the tough questions, and offered clear data-backed insight. Colin chimed in with vague affirmations. Totally agree. Exactly what I was thinking. Love that, Angela. When the Chicago partner complimented Colin on such a thoughtful proposal, he nodded modestly, never once mentioning she wrote it. Angela smiled. Again, after the meeting, Stewart sent a Slack message. That went well. Colin's leadership is really shaping up. Angela stared at the screen. Leadership? She clicked into her journal. I do the work. He gets the glory. I do the research. He gets the praise. I show up twice as good. They call it team spirit. He shows up late with bedhead, and they call it leadership. She added the Slack screenshot to a growing folder titled, Evidence _ just in case. Then, without warning, her Slack pinged again. Colin, they want to fly me to Chicago next month to present in person. You cool putting together a clean summary deck before then? Just the high-level stuff? You always make it sing. Angela stared at the message for a long time. This time, she didn't reply. Later that night, she called her sister Joy. You ever feel like you're helping people climb a ladder you built, but they never look back to pull you up? Joy paused. Every damn day. Angela exhaled, her voice trembling. I'm so tired. Joy was quiet for a moment, then said, maybe it's time to stop being tired in silence. Angela looked at her journal file. Maybe it was time to let others hear her story. Maybe it was time to stop whispering. Monday came with gray skies and emails that felt heavier than usual. Angela sat motionless at her desk for a few moments before opening her inbox. Subject, performance check-in, today at 3 p.m. From Denise, HR business partner. Angela frowned. No prior heads up, no context. And Denise? She hadn't seen Denise since the last mandatory DI training. The one where Angela was asked to share her experience as a black woman in the workplace, while everyone else took notes and nodded solemnly. Still, she prepared. She always did. At exactly 3 p.m., she joined the meeting link. Denise was already there, tight-lipped smile in place. Hi, Angela. Thanks for hopping on. Of course. Then came Stewart, logging in late, eyes darting, voice overly cheery. Hey, ladies. Ready to chat? Angela knew this wasn't a check-in. It was a performance trap. Denise started. We've received some feedback about team cohesion. Concerns that you've been a bit withdrawn lately. Less collaborative. Angela's stomach turned. I've continued all my work, she said calmly. And I've been supporting Colin extensively, as asked. Yes, but it's about tone, Stewart interjected. You seem less positive. Clients notice energy, Angela. She bit the inside of her cheek. Energy? You mean my silence? My refusal to laugh at lazy jokes and spoon-feed the man you promoted? She opened her folder and screen-shared a summary of her recent deliverables. Completed decks, client wins, internal process improvements. Impeccably organized. This is the work I've done in the past quarter. I'd like to better understand what less positive means and why that's being tied to performance. Denise blinked. Stewart adjusted his glasses. Neither expected her to come prepared, but she had years of preparation behind this moment. Also, Angela added, I've been documenting my experiences, including workload distribution and patterns of feedback. Stewart's smile thinned. No need to get defensive, Angela. We're all on the same team. Angela tilted her head slightly. I agree. So let's make sure we're looking at facts, not feelings. After the call, she updated her journal. They're uncomfortable when I speak clearly. They're irritated when I don't smile while being minimized. Team player means be silent. Good energy means stay grateful for crumbs. Today, I didn't shrink, and it rattled them. Later that evening, she received an email. Subject, optional DEI roundtable, creating safe spaces at work. Led by HR business partner, Denise. Angela laughed for the first time in days. The office air was thicker than usual the next day, though nothing had changed on the surface. The same greetings, same blinking cursor, same espresso machine humming in the background. But Angela felt it, the shift, the subtle tension that followed women who dared to stop being agreeable. Colin passed by her desk. Hey, about yesterday, hope no hard feelings. You know how these check-ins go. Angela looked up slowly. Hard feelings? No. Just tired of vague expectations. Colin smiled nervously and backed away. She turned back to her screen. The DI Roundtable invite sat unread in her inbox. She didn't bother deleting it. She wasn't interested in spaces that wanted her voice without her pain. Spaces that wanted her story without her anger. Safe spaces, they said, but only for everyone else. Angela's phone buzzed. Joy. Hey sis. Just checking in. Remember to breathe. She smiled. The only space that ever truly felt safe was her sister's voice. At lunch, she sat outside with her journal and opened a new tab. She had been thinking about it for weeks now, maybe longer. Title, The Polished Lie. Subtitle, Diary of a Black Woman in Corporate America. She began writing the introduction. They told me to work twice as hard. I did. They told me to smile more. I did. They told me to wait my turn. I did. Now they ask why I seem cold, detached. But how do you explain what it feels like to water a tree for years, only to watch someone else pluck the fruit? She typed with trembling fingers. The pain wasn't new, but naming it, sharing it, giving it shape, that was terrifying. But something inside her was changing. This wasn't just about a missed promotion anymore. It was about memory, about reclaiming her story. That night, Angela emailed herself a copy of the file. Then, she did something she hadn't done in years. She closed her laptop early and ran a bath. No client emails. No Colin. No Slack pings. She leaned back in the steaming water and whispered to herself, I'm not invisible. Meanwhile, in a boardroom she wasn't invited to, Stuart said to Denise, Angela's becoming combative. Maybe not the best cultural fit anymore. Denise nodded slowly. We may need to start documenting that. It started with little things. Angela arrived at her desk Monday morning to find someone had moved her chair. Again, not a big deal, right? But it had happened 3 times that month. Then there was the team lunch invite, sent to everyone except her. Must have been a tech glitch, Colin had shrugged. There were whispers in the hallway. Slack messages that stopped the moment she entered a thread. A creative brief reassigned to a junior associate to give them experience, even though Angela had mapped the entire pitch. One afternoon, she found her name removed from the footnotes of a presentation she co-authored. No explanation. Just gone. Angela wasn't paranoid. She was experienced. She knew what it looked like when a system turned quiet hostility into policy. That evening, Joy called. They're icing you out, Joy said after hearing everything. They're trying to get you to quit. Angela laughed bitterly. You know what's wild? If I say that out loud at work, I'll be labeled emotional or aggressive. So what's the plan? Angela looked out her window. The city lights blurred like watercolor. I'm going to stay. I'm going to keep writing. And I'm going to make sure they never gaslight another black woman into thinking her pain is imaginary. The next morning, Angela submitted her PTO request. 2 weeks off, unapologetically. She scheduled it for the week of the Chicago partner presentation, the one Colin was meant to deliver. Minutes later, Stuart messaged her. Hi, Angela. Can we chat about your time off request? Bit of an inconvenient week. She replied, Thanks, Stuart. Everything's in the shared folder. I trust the team's leadership. She hit send and closed her laptop with a smile. That evening, she posted the first anonymous blog entry of The Polished Lie. Microaggressions are death by 1,000 cuts. Each cut is so small, they tell you it's nothing. But soon, you're bleeding and no one believes you. She added no name, no company, just truth. By midnight, the post had been shared 3,000 times. Angela refreshed the page again. 12,964 views. 7,118 shares. Hundreds of comments. She scrolled, heart thudding at the stories pouring in. This could have been me. The part about watering the tree. I cried. Every meeting, I feel this. Every smile I fake. Thank you for putting it into words. Angela hadn't attached her name, but truth had a scent, and some were starting to recognize it. That morning, HR sent out a company-wide email. As part of our ongoing commitment to diversity and inclusion, we encourage respectful dialogue. We are aware of a circulating blog post, and while it's unrelated to our organization, we want to acknowledge the value of open expression. Angela stared at the screen. Unrelated? Her inbox pinged again. A message from Maya, the only other black woman on the 14th floor. Subject, just read your words. Sis, you're braver than you know. Whatever happens, I see you. Angela closed her eyes and swallowed the lump in her throat. Maya had always been careful, always smiling. And now, even she had broken the silence. 2 days into her PTO, the blog reached 50,000 views. And then the call came. Angela, this is Stuart. We'd love to talk when you're back. About your future here, and whether it's aligned with company culture. She let the voicemail sit there. She wouldn't be bullied into silence. Not this time. Instead of replying, she wrote a new blog post that night. When a workplace punishes your voice instead of the harm done to you, it never wanted healing. It wanted obedience. At a cafe downtown, Angela sat watching the city's rhythm. She felt it again, that quiet tremor of fear. But also something else, power. Not the kind tied to promotions or polite titles, but the kind rooted in truth. This isn't just my story, she whispered to herself. It's all of ours. Angela returned to work the following Monday with her head held high. But something had shifted. Her access to certain folders, temporarily restricted due to restructuring. Her weekly leadership sync, canceled indefinitely. Her client lead status, reassigned for efficiency. All of it couched in the soft, weaponized language of corporate civility. She walked past Colin's desk and saw him laughing with Stuart. When he glanced at her, his expression faltered, guilt flickering before he looked away. Angela sat down at her desk, opened her journal, and wrote, "They won't fire me. They'll erase me. Slowly, professionally." That afternoon, HR called her in. Denise, the HR rep, gave her a rehearsed smile. "Angela, we've had some reports that you've been disengaged, perhaps distracted lately. We want to ensure you're fully supported." Angela raised an eyebrow. Disengaged? Or unafraid? Denise blinked. "I'm sorry. I'm still doing my job, exceeding my KPIs. But I'm no longer pretending everything's okay. Is that the real issue?" Denise offered a tight-lipped smile. "Of course not. We just want to ensure the work environment remains positive for everyone." Angela leaned in. "Then maybe we should talk about why I've had 3 promotions passed over and been made to train the person who took the role I earned." Silence. Denise scribbled something and shifted in her seat. "I'll make a note of that." Angela stood. "You do that." That night, she wrote the most powerful blog post yet. Retaliation doesn't always look like demotion. Sometimes it looks like meetings you're no longer invited to, credit you're no longer given, silence that feels strategic. And yet, they'll still call it professionalism. It went viral within hours. The next morning, her blog was featured in a major diversity and inclusion newsletter. And then her phone rang again. This time, not from HR, but from a national black-owned business magazine requesting an interview. Angela paused. She wasn't invisible anymore. Angela hesitated before answering the call. "Ms. Davis," the editor said, her voice warm but direct. "We believe your blog is one of the most honest reflections of black corporate experience we've seen. Would you be willing to attach your name to it in our next issue?" Angela's heart raced. She'd stayed anonymous for protection, for survival. But the blog had outgrown secrecy. It wasn't just a vent anymore. It was a movement. Still, she remembered the risks. Retaliation, being blacklisted, labeled a troublemaker. "I'll think about it," she said, voice steady but unsure. The next day at work, Colin passed her desk and dropped a folder. "Need you to review these by noon. I trust you can still manage, even with your blog." Angela looked up slowly. "Is that a warning, Colin? Or an admission?" He smirked. "Whatever helps you sleep at night." As he walked away, she opened the folder and froze. Inside were strategy notes she'd written 6 months ago, with Colin's name now typed over hers. No credits, no acknowledgments. Angela stood, folder in hand, and marched to Stuart's office. She didn't knock. "This is theft," she said, slapping the file on his desk. "And you know it." Stuart sighed. "Angela, I really think you need to consider what you want here. You're clearly unhappy. Maybe it's time to explore opportunities elsewhere." There it was, the push-out plan. Angela met his gaze. "You're right. I do know what I want, but I won't let you make me feel like I don't belong." That night, She made her choice. She emailed the magazine editor. Yes, publish it with my name. No more hiding. When the issue hit the stands 2 weeks later, her face was on the cover. The title read, "The Polished Lie: How Corporate America Silences Black Excellence." Angela Davis speaks out. The response was explosive. CEOs reposted it. DEI consultants quoted it. Black professionals across industries messaged her in droves. "You said everything we've been forced to swallow. I cried reading your story. You gave us language for our wounds. Thank you for being loud when so many of us can't." Angela sat on her couch, reading each message through tears. This wasn't just her story anymore. Angela walked into the office the next day like a storm wrapped in grace. Her face was now public, her words undeniable. And yet, as she passed her colleagues, there was a stiff silence, the kind that hummed beneath tight smiles and averted eyes. She expected backlash. What she didn't expect was a meeting request from the CEO himself. The boardroom was cold and sleek, with polished glass walls that didn't conceal nearly enough. Angela sat opposite CEO Martin Blanchard, a man who, until now, had only been a name in company-wide memos. He folded his hands. "Angela, I read your piece." She waited. It was powerful, difficult, necessary. Still, she waited. "We want to do better," he said, gesturing to a packet on the table. "We'd like you to lead an internal initiative, a new chief inclusion officer role. Build something real from the ground up, with full autonomy." Angela blinked. Was this guilt? Strategy? Damage control? She opened the folder. The title was clear. Executive Offer, VP of Inclusion and Equity, reporting directly to CEO. Her heart thudded, not with excitement, but with the weight of the decision. To accept might mean shaping real change, or being used as a figurehead in a machine built to survive PR fires. "I'll think about it," she said carefully. Back at her desk, Angela stared at the skyline. The city stretched endlessly, a mirror of what was possible and what was broken. She called Maya. "They offer me a leadership position." Maya's voice crackled on the other end. "You gonna take it?" Angela looked down at her hands. Calloused not from labor, but from resilience. "Only if I can burn down the old system and build something true." Later that night, she wrote one final blog post. "I was never just fighting for a title. I was fighting for my sanity, for my dignity, for every woman who swallowed her excellence to survive. I will no longer trade truth for a paycheck. Whether I stay or go, I am no longer afraid." Angela sat at her kitchen table, the offer letter glowing on her laptop screen. The salary was more than she'd ever earned. The title, unprecedented, but something deeper gnawed at her. A question no contract could answer. Would this position allow her to fight the system or be absorbed by it? She remembered the women who'd messaged her, who called her brave, who said, "Now I believe I'm not crazy." She couldn't become a symbol without substance. The next morning, she requested a second meeting with CEO Blanchard. "Before I accept," Angela said, "I want to set terms." He leaned back, surprised but intrigued. "I'm listening. I want the budget and freedom to build a team of my choosing, not HR's. I want quarterly transparency reports made public. I want the power to hold department heads accountable for inclusion failures, even if that includes you." The room went silent. He studied her, his pride slowly replaced with something deeper, respect. "If you're in, we'll give you everything you've asked for. But it won't be easy." Angela nodded. "It's never been easy, but I'm still here." That afternoon, the announcement went out. Angela Davis named VP of Inclusion and Equity. But this wasn't a celebration. It was a call to arms. At her first staff meeting, Angela stood before the employees, mostly white, mostly skeptical. She looked every person in the eye. "This isn't about checkboxes or hashtags. This is about dismantling the rot we've called culture. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. That's where change begins." Silence. Then a slow clap from Maya, newly hired as Director of People Strategy, followed by another, and another. Angela smiled, not for applause, but because she had chosen to be loud, to be seen, and to demand more, not just for herself, but for all the others forced to shrink in order to fit. 6 months into her new role, Angela walked the halls with quiet purpose. Where once her steps felt invisible, now they echoed with presence, with power, with promise. But change was not immediate. Some leaders pushed back, others smiled in meetings and sabotaged in silence. A few quit outright, calling her vision too radical. Angela didn't flinch. She rolled up her sleeves and got to work, hosting listening circles, auditing performance reviews for bias, dismantling toxic mentorship patterns, and advocating for promotions based on actual merit, not proximity to privilege. One afternoon, she received an email from a name she didn't recognize. "Angela, you don't know me, but I read your story. I almost left my job last year after being told my braids were unprofessional for a client pitch. I stayed. I spoke up. I was promoted. Thank you for showing me it's not me. It's the system." Angela closed her eyes. That was it. That was the victory. Months later, she sat at a panel for Black women in leadership. The moderator leaned forward. "Angela, if you could go back to the version of yourself who had to train someone else for the job she earned, what would you tell her?" Angela smiled, steady and serene. "I'd tell her, they saw your light. They just weren't ready to let it shine. But you were never made to dim. You were made to blaze a trail." The room erupted in applause, and Angela, now fully visible, fully heard, smiled not just for herself, but for everyone still fighting behind boardroom doors and badge-swiped walls. When the system is rigged against you, survival alone is revolutionary. But choosing to rise, to speak, document, and fight, that transforms pain into power. Angela's story is a reminder that injustice often wears a smile, that silence can be deadly, and that every time a Black woman says, "No more," she shakes the table for those still too afraid to stand. To every professional who's been told to calm down, to every woman who's watched her ideas get stolen in meetings, to every Black worker who's had to work twice as hard for half the credit, you are not imagining it. You are not alone, and you're not powerless. Tell your story. Name what they try to erase. Document everything. And when you're ready, speak louder than the system that tried to silence you. Because when one voice rises, others find the courage to follow.